here's the best lesson that the car business ever taught me was how little that I truly matter to the overwhelming majority of the world. But also how much I matter to a small portion, which means if I spend my time serving the masses and I'm having to convince a stranger and slug it out every single day in an industry that is not well-liked, respected, or trusted, I'm going to be miserable.
Right.
But if I spend my time over here with people who know me, like me, trust me, send me referrals, and they come in receptive to what I have to say, it's a very different world to live in. And where that decision was made is I self-generated all my own business the last 2 years at the store, but I found a better way to serve them. And the better way to serve them was training them how to market their business, which is why I took the leap a couple of years ago and went full-time with it.
That's amazing. Welcome back to another episode of Remember You. Today we have Alan Stern here. Welcome. He's here to teach you 4 steps to how to do your personal brand right. And he also is going to teach you how resistance intertwines in all of that, how to reduce the resistance, sell yourself right, and then leverage AI to do it all so much easier. By the end, you'll have 4 steps that are easy to follow, and you'll know all about how AI will be able to help you. Can't wait to share this with you. Cool.
I want to meet this Alan Stern guy.
Yeah. All right, welcome. So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get here today and what you're doing and helping so many people figure out who they are, what their identity is?
Yeah, definitely. So professionally, my background has consisted of owning a DJ company for about 20 years and selling cars. Unrelated fields outside of the fact that I had to get good at marketing at the individual level. And what I found was a very powerful lesson. That is, before people buy from a brand, they buy from the individual person who represents a brand. Now, the majority of the stuff that I teach is tactical stuff that's based off of using AI, but all that AI is going to do is increase the human connection. It's going to increase the value of it because we always want what we don't have. So found a need in the market to start teaching do-it-yourself when most of the agencies were providing done-for-you services.
Right. Okay. And so can you tell us a little bit about the different services that you offer?
Yeah. So a client will hire me to come in and train their staff how to market at the individual level. So what does that look like? Realtors, loan officers, insurance agents, speakers, coaches, anybody who is the face of the brand that is often too small for an agency to work with. So I come in and I teach basic stuff that you can do with a free account on ChatGPT and Canva that will allow you to make a big impact with your marketing on very minimal budget. That's one facet of it. The other facet is on the done-for-you side, we develop microsites, hybrid between a website and a digital business card, so somebody can use this as a tool at an event.
Mm. Well, you mentioned HEAT, so HEAT earlier before we started filming. Could you explain that first before we go?
Yeah. Ultimately, what it is the framework that builds a personal brand that does the selling for you. We do business with those that we know, like, and trust, but we can't just wave a magic wand and make somebody trust us. So the majority of this is centered around social media. And here's the big disconnect. People go on social media so that they can be entertained. Us as the business owner, we go there usually to sell and promote, which means there's a huge disconnect. So the humor is not about being funny. It's about creating a connection. HEAT stands for humor, education, adding value, and trust. You mixed all 4 of those into your marketing strategy and people will warm up to you over time. To give you an example, actually, of how this would work, and just to freestyle this and make this interesting, can somebody give me an industry? Any industry that you can think of.
Let's just say lawyers, legal, estate planning. How would someone make that humorous?
Sure. So I want you to visualize a picture of a burning dumpster fire. Now, when we hear the term dumpster fire, it is a term for something that's very bad that happened, right?
Yes.
So if I wanted to take a meme and turn it into an advertisement, I can throw a caption over that says, how it feels when you don't have an estate plan set up. Just like that, it became an advertisement. And if somebody shares that, they just pass along your business card, but they did it in a cool way. So you can blend humor and education together so you can show up on platforms and sell without really appearing salesy because it falls under the entertainment category. The thing though, is just because you make somebody laugh doesn't mean that they're going to buy from you. We have to educate them on how we can help them. The thing is, when you sell, you break rapport, but when you educate, you build it because it becomes your idea. So using that case study, I could say, hey, here's 5 problems that you will likely have if you don't have X, Y, and Z set up. Would you like me to solve them for you? Let's hop on the phone. And now I've just educated you on how I can help you. Adding value, which is the third component. We live in a world of scams. Yeah. Trust is eroding. Everywhere we go, it feels like we're being lied to. It doesn't matter if it's, from the news, if it's from deceptive advertising, from politicians, whatever it is. So it's not what you say, it's how people feel when they receive your message. If you focus in on serving, not selling, people feel that. And when people feel like you're looking out for them, you're creating goodwill and you're front loading your karma, which then creates trust. And we do business with those who we know, like, and trust. So you mix all 4 of those into your marketing strategy, people warm up to you over time.
And how do people say they don't have a company and they want just their personal brand? So they want to accomplish more at work or, look better on LinkedIn. Would you have the same steps for them?
Well, yeah. So at the core, everybody has a personal brand. Most of us just don't know it. A personal brand is simple. It's not what you do. It's who you are. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that could range from anything like, hey, how do you know Mike? Well, Mike's a good guy, but he's always late. How do you know Susie? And Susie's cool, but she always talks politics. That is essentially a personal brand right there. So if you want to position yourself as a thought leader, you could use all of that. If you want to position yourself as somebody who's more approachable and down to earth, all of that falls under that category. But who would benefit most from this is somebody who is in a business development role or a salesperson.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
No, I thought you did.
I was just going to add one thing that really resonated and I think is lost a lot is how educating builds the rapport. But once you go into that, any traditional format of selling, it actually breaks the rapport. And what's an example? I mean, just like an example of selling in any scenario that you've seen, like immediately just breaks rapport and people are like turned off by it.
Yeah. So let's use the car example because I spent, first off, do the words trust and car salesman usually go in the same sentence?
Yes.
Right.
There you go.
So let's say that I was, let's say that I went to a networking event and I saw somebody walk outside to a car that was just a 20-year-old rust bucket and the front bumper was hanging off. And I went up to him and I said, hey, I couldn't help but notice you need a new car. Here's my card. Why don't you stop by at noon and look at some options? How is that going to work out?
It's like, who even are you? Right.
How do you know that I need that?
Right. Exactly.
Offensive. It's whatever it is. It's not connecting.
Right. The conversation just got weird because I was selling.
Yep.
Let's do the inverse of that. Let's say that I met somebody at a networking event and we connected on social media and I started making social media content on here's 5 signs that keeping your 10-year-old car is actually costing you more money than it is fixing it. Step 1, take your total amount of car repairs for the year. Step 2, divide it by 12. Step 3, there's your car payment. If it's over this, I can get you in a new car for this. Now it became your idea to engage with me.
That's huge.
Really amazing.
What I love about this, I'm like, dude, I've never heard like marketing so simplified in a context that's like, oh, this is totally doable. So now I'm like, all right, how do you apply this? And this is where AI comes in, right? With your guidance, of course.
Yeah. I mean, AI at the end of the day is only as good as what we tell it, which means if we give it a lame generic prompt,
Yep.
it will give us a lame generic answer.
Yeah.
But what most people don't know is you can ask it what you should ask it so that you can get the best result. So it's oddly simple. And these are some of the things that I teach.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So actually, I'll tell AI, I want to accomplish this, and I don't know how to ask you the right prompt. Can you create a prompt that's going to do these things for me?
Yep. It's hilarious. In my workshops, when it comes to writing a bio, which is one of the things that I go over because all professionals need an updated LinkedIn bio, there's this massive several paragraph prompt that I use, and people are like, dude, are you a prompt engineer? How did you figure this out?
Yeah.
I literally just asked it what I should ask it. And you know what I did? I fed it back to the machine poof, here we go.
Yeah.
Free
So
account.
amazing. Wait, so you have like give me an example.
So I started doing this actually with the podcast because I was getting frustrated because I kept asking it like, here's the script, because I'm not a marketing person, right? So I went
Sure.
to AI. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look. They can do this for me. So I gave it the transcript and I said, write me a prompt that will give me a title, a good description, doesn't have a ton of emojis, that is like your social media expert for YouTube and Buzzsprout, that will get me more downloads or whatever. I don't remember what I put in there. And then it literally shot out a prompt that I use every time now. And it gives me options on titles, 3 words, 50, 100 characters, whatever I wanted. And it's so much easier. I just copy and paste it now every time and I don't have to worry about it.
That's awesome.
It's wild. I'm just curious. Does anybody here have like a market research background? Have you ever done one of these focus groups? You get paid to give your opinion on something?
I've done one.
So that was one of my high school jobs. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is if you really like oversimplify it, the reason why a business owner would hire a market research firm really is just to get information that helps you improve your business. Take a look at your expense list. If you were to do that pre-AI, you would have to rent the facility, hire the staff, donate your product, and then compensate the attendees just to get information that you can now get with a free account on ChatGPT. What a time to be alive. It's unbelievable. Like, I'm genuinely depressed for the people who are not using this.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a business owner and you're not using some sort of AI, like your credit score should go down or something. Right?
You need to be punished.
Right.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
so
but
funny.
your mind is still different than a lot of the business owners' minds. So we're using ChatGPT, but we don't know like what you're like flowing with. So you have the heat method, but under each letter, what's your mind asking for, let's say, each business that they should be thinking, how do I make this humorous? How do I educate? How do I advertiser and then make them trust me? So, but your mind is going there quickly. So what other background do you have besides just sales and DJ that helped you learn all these things?
Really, just being in the people business. Here, if you really, really think about it, between selling cars and DJing, they have almost nothing in common outside of the fact that I had to make a connection with a human being at a deep level. And what I found over the years while I was selling cars, I probably had 15, maybe even 20 clients that not only bought a car from me, but they also said, hey, my daughter's getting married. I feel that you would be a great fit for this wedding. Or a board of a nonprofit that I'm on is having a gala. We'd love to give you the opportunity to DJ. When I moved from selling Chevys in the North Shore to Lexus in the western suburbs in 2017, those brands have nothing in common. But I had a ton of clients actually follow me, not because they wanted the product, but because they enjoyed working with me. So at that point, a light bulb went off. There is randomness with every industry and with everybody's personal brand. Sometimes humor is not the right fit. When it comes to nonprofits, humor for serious causes is probably not the right fit. But when it comes to meeting somebody on social media where they are at, which they're there to be entertained, oftentimes it helps a connection.
So it's kind of like you're very personable. You know how to behave, I guess, in certain situations.
Well, yeah. So the goal is would it be okay if I give you a use case?
Yeah.
So let's say that you just meet somebody one time at a networking event and they know nothing about you. You get their business cards, you connect on them with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. The goal of humor is just to create a connection so that they see your content and they say, you know what? Business aside, this person seems cool. I may not need their services yet, but in the event that I did, I would totally give them a shot. They seem like somebody that I would go grab coffee with. Hell, I'd go and have a beer with them. So there's connection that's made, but the thing is when somebody laughs, they usually would remember what made them laugh. And in this case, that's you. We see 4,000 to 10,000 advertisements every single day. So we are hit with a crazy amount of noise, which is why we forgot the majority of what we learned in school, but we probably remember a funny story that one of our teachers told us. So that's how we cut through the noise barrier, and then we blend in the education so people know how we can help them.
Cool. Yeah. I like that.
That's really great. Well, I think like the biggest takeaway, you've had like years and like frontline experience of like working with so many different personalities. Obviously it's like why it's flowing so easily for you. But would it be safe to say that once people start stepping into AI, and maybe you're working with lots of folks who are just like totally uncomfortable with it, is the best way to get better at it is really just practicing?
For sure. So would it be helpful if I go over like a super easy win that any business owner can do to create a target market?
That's perfect. Yes.
One of our challenges is as business owners, we try to talk to everybody. And when we talk to everybody at the same time, we resonate with nobody.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, we become the one restaurant that has 90 things on the menu and none of them are good.
Yes.
And the only reason why we went there is because it's midnight and that's the only place that's open. So if we look at it in the world of business, we exchange money so that we can solve problems. It's January at the time of filming this and everybody's car is covered with road salt. So would it be fair to say that we go to a car wash and exchange our money to solve the problem of not having to clean it in this weather? Yeah. So what we can do, if we wanted to reverse engineer a problem that would make the phone ring, is we can go on ChatGPT and type in what are 5 problems that would cause somebody to consider purchasing blank or hiring blank. Swap blank out with your industry. So whoever wants to freestyle this, would you guys like to give me an industry?
Yeah.
Use one of yours.
Okay. If it's cool with you, let's go a little bit more specific.
Peptides.
Yeah, peptides.
Bingo. What are 5 problems that would cause somebody to consider purchasing peptides? It will give you a list of problems that might make the phone ring. Now, it's interesting. Problems are everywhere. They're abstract. We ignore them until they become situations. Problems cause situations. Situations create opportunities for us to sell. If I woke up today and my car didn't start, I have a problem. But if I'm working from home today, whatever. Right. But if I have to be here filming this podcast,
right,
I have a situation on my hand. So who gets the sale? Uber, because they solved the problem of getting me from here to there, hence getting me out of the situation. So the difference between an AI tool like ChatGPT and a Google search will give you suggestions. They say, you go to this website for XYZ information, ChatGPT gives you answers and we can chat or have dialogue with it. So once I have the problem that would cause somebody to consider buying the peptide, I can then follow that up and I can say, give me an audience that's most likely to experience each of the problems that are listed above. Why is that relevant? Because if we met at a networking event and I said, hey, you sell peptides, who's a good client for you? And you said, I don't know, anybody who needs one. I think of nobody. But if I respond to that and I say, I could best serve blank audience that experiences blank problem, do you know anybody? Now somebody might come to mind.
That's amazing.
So how do people overcomplicate this?
You just don't. The reality is, here's how they do it. They just don't do it because they don't know where to start. But if you oversimplify it and say, step 1, this. Step 2, this. Now it's easy. And let me put the cherry on the sundae for you. When it comes to actually creating content, now that we have a audience and we have a problem, we could use something called the APE format. Audience, problem, explanation, which means I can say, create an article to blank audience who experiences blank problem, explaining why they need peptides. And it just became a sales letter.
Yeah, because otherwise us as business owners are trying to serve everybody and we're doing a broad problem solving 30-second speech or something that's not triggering anyone to say, hey, I need to hire her. And so that's what's so powerful.
Well, and I like what you're doing because it's really, to me, it's everybody wants to sell to everybody.
Yep.
And it's just like the book, The Courage to be Disliked, right? You have 10 people in a room, 3 of them are going to love you. They'll be your best friends. Like 5 of them are going to take you or leave you. And the other 2 are going to be like, no, I don't want to deal with you at all. Right. So what you're doing is really focusing and helping people understand who their audience is and what problems they're solving. And that's, people hear that, but they don't know how to do that. So you're giving them a simple platform to do that. And it's awesome. It's the best I've ever heard.
Even like hearing that prompt like brings me relief. Yeah. Like realizing like, I think kind of to what you said about the amount of ads and all the things that we're just constantly overstimulated with. There's just so much constant noise. And so to be able to have a tool to like totally zone in on this exact audience, to me, it's like, oh, that's so relieving because it's like, now I know who's not for me. And I think that's actually, especially when you're getting started or you're kind of getting in the swing of like exactly what you're specializing in, it's hard to even identify that. So
hyper specificity is the only way forward.
Yes.
It really is. Like, and here's, this is actually like really good for everybody to know who's either watching or listening to this. Here's 4 marketing stats that everybody should know. First off, the amount of time that we spend on a piece of content on Facebook, does anybody have any guesses to what that is?
No, like
5.
You mean
like 0.5 seconds.
Yeah.
1.7 seconds on a piece of content from a mobile device.
That's why I'm like, don't we have to fix the process?
It's insane. So the 2-second rule is a very real thing. That's why memes work so good. The strong visual stops the scroll, and there's a very simple caption.
Yep.
Second thing, though, is the amount of time that we spend on social media. You guys know that stat?
4 hours a day?
4 hours a day. You got 2 hours. What's your guess?
Go to
2.
I would say I have things set on my phone so that I don't go past like 30 minutes a day, but I know people, it's probably way more than that. It's probably like 6 hours a day.
So there's a few studies. The one that is the most recent, it's you guys are like really close to it. It's only 2.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
However, 2.5 hours over the course of a year, 864 hours, which is the equivalent to 36 full days a year, guys. That's what we're spending on these.
Yeah.
Assuming you got paid minimum wage, which in this state is $15 an hour, that's $13,000 a year in revenue that we're spending on these. So I bring this up to remind you, if you have a business or you're in sales and you're not just posting a few times a week, you're leaving a lot of distribution on the table. The third, though, is the amount of ads that we see today. 4 to 10,000. The fourth is the amount of times that we check our phone a day. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
205 times a day. We're addicted to these things.
I want to throw it.
You have the best psychologists on the planet that are just fixated on how could we make this more addicting, which poses the opportunity if we can meet somebody on a platform where they are scrolling mindlessly and we give them something to consume that lets them know how we can help them. Huge opportunity here. Huge.
And so the hyper specificity,
Hyper
that's a
specificity.
good word. Being that's a way of kind of really being disruptive to the mind.
It is.
The doom scrolling or whatever you want to call it. Because I think that to me, again, everything is just noise. Even in my own space, like in, hypnosis and everything I'm doing, my algorithm is like set up for so much of that. And so it's like, even I get like stuck into, okay, these are the things everyone's saying. What can I do to make sure that it's like authentic to me and I'm sticking out to that, or sticking out from that? Do you help people with that? Like in their super specific niche, like how do you create your own authentic voice?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Would it be okay if I give you an example of how I did it for myself?
Yeah.
So here's what I love. Everybody always says the same thing. Ellen, you don't understand. My industry is unique. There's commoditization everywhere. There's a million people that do what I do. Like, I hear this on a daily basis. So would it be fair to say that a car salesman is a very good category to be commoditized? You can go to CarMax. You can go to the dealership right down the street. You can buy a car from a vending machine, Carvana, or whatever they are. So that was one of the hardest things for me to actually nail down a niche. Now, here's what I found when I moved over to Lexus is what drew me to the brand was different than what actually drew the majority of the clients to the brand. Lexus is a brand that is the benchmark for hospitality in the industry. That's what drew me to it, because I don't believe in selling, I believe in serving. So if you're going to do that, why not go with the product that has the lowest cost of maintenance and the highest resale value? Also Lexus in the industry. So what's interesting is I realized about a year and a half in that I loved the product that I was selling, but I struggled a lot with the customers. So how did I solve that? Is I went to all of these networking groups and I realized buying a car is the second biggest purchase most people ever make. Most people don't have a trusted car salesman on speed dial. How many car salesmen have you met at networking events? They just usually don't go. Huge opportunity. So how did I correct that? Local business owners, I should say, became my target customer. So would it be fair to say the two biggest pain points in the car business are amount of time and lack of transparency? Would those be accurate?
Yes.
Here's how I solved it. I said, you know what? If you're a local chamber member and you can't come to me for a test drive, I'll slap a plate on it, bring it to you on your lunch break, and guess what? If you like it, I'll bring it to your house and do a driveway drop-off. Just like that, I became a market of one. I had no competition. Wow. So there's always opportunity in the market. We just have to look for it, because when the whole world zigs, huge opportunity to zag.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Love that.
Another question that kind of comes to mind is more like at the ground level. You clearly trust yourself and know exactly what you're saying. Do you work with people to learn how to build first their self-trust, to build their brand and talk through what they already know? So a lot of people might have the idea in their head and know what they're doing, but they don't trust themselves enough to come out and talk about it.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that. That's not an area that I've worked with people on. But it all does start with what's in, because unless you believe you,
yeah,
you're going to have a really hard time transferring that energy.
Got it.
And if the core values don't align and you're not aligned with what you're doing, you're not going to be able to have the resilience and the persistence to show up every day and deal with the blows of being a business owner.
And that's kind of ties back to what you're saying too. It's like, it's how people feel. So if you're not feeling good about yourself and like what you're selling, and it's going to be felt, like that disjointedness is going to be felt when you're trying to push that onto somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm really focused on, helping people understand that they have self-worth and they can trust themselves, and then they can go and do the work that you're telling them to do.
For sure. You know what? It all depends on the audience. If you're solving a real problem in the marketplace, like if you really are solving a legitimate issue in the world and you're adding value, don't be shy to tell the world, here's how I can help you. You experience this, you call me, and I'll make sure that it, is a seamless process. We just overcomplicate it as humans.
You said something earlier, and I think this is something that we all go through as business owners and trying to do the marketing and figuring things out. But like you are not your target customer. Like from the point of view, what you said was the reason why you went with Lexus was not the reason why other people went with Lexus, right? So you have a perspective that hit on a need that I have, I could say, and I think with all of us, we're all looking to gain the perspective of the customer so that we can appeal to them, right? And so how do you do that? Like, what's that shift that you make going, okay, I like this, but then it seems like a reflex where you can view it from the customer standpoint, capture their attention to be able to bring them into your house. How do you...
That's what you were just saying with the AI perspective.
Yeah, so there's a couple different thoughts that I have on that. And, if you are somebody that is able to, let's say, market and attract all of your own business, you can design that based off of what situations you personally enjoy being around. In the case of the car salesman, just using that example, let's say that I didn't go the route of generating all of my own business. I am basically subject to whatever randomness walks through that front door, and everybody's situation is different. But whatever charges your batteries the most is where I would focus in on, because if it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it. If you can specialize in serving blank audience who experiences blank problem and you know it inside and out because that person used to be you and it's fun and it's stimulating, yeah, it's work, but it's not really work. Yeah. You could sleep good at night and you're actually selling a legit transformation because nobody can debate your experience.
Yep.
In essence, you are your customer.
I believe you should always be your customer first. However, what's interesting about the Lexus example is everybody has their own perspective on what draws them to the brand. Mm. And you know what? The beauty of the world that we live in is there's endless amount of opportunity, both at the digital level and a lot of it at the local level where you can find your tribe. There's Facebook groups, there's podcasts like this, there's distribution. Like the 3 degrees of separation it's very real.
I feel like this is kind of like what we talk about. You look at the stats of the Great Depression where there was more millionaires made during that time than any other time in those series of that century. And I think we're in the same time right now where there's never been more opportunity to make more money and take advantage and be an entrepreneur, a business owner, and make a name for yourself locally and internationally. And how big do you want to go or how local do you want to be? It just seems like it's so fruitful.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
It's amazing too. And it's I think what's even more exciting, I guess, about I guess you could call it like the AI gold rush or whatever term you're seeing online is that some people don't want to be like internationally known. They just want to be able to have the financial freedom and also have a really great skill set, but maybe just don't have the digital skill set to amplify what they're doing. And so really the tools that you're giving us is to help those folks really take everything that they're doing and like simplify the workload. And ultimately, when you have that energy back, you're able to sell and also just enjoy your life more, which is a huge part of kind of why we have this podcast.
For sure. The other thing though is at the core, all of this AI stuff is great as a tool,
Yes.
but it's just going to make the authentic human connection and relationship that much more valuable. I mean, take a look. How many horrific AI generated headshots have you guys seen on your timeline, on your Facebook?
Yeah.
Does that create trust or does that go in the complete opposite direction? So I think the premium photographers that specialize in branding, they're going to actually be able to raise their prices. They're going to say, here's what I specialize in, and the machine can't create it. On the other end, the $100 headshot crowd, amateurs with a camera, I think they're going to be majorly disrupted.
Yeah.
In the DJ world, AI can make music now.
Yeah.
There's people that say, hey man, I would totally do a Spotify playlist if I could. Could you just show up with some speakers? I'm not the guy for that.
Right.
The person that needs an MC that wants a real sound system, that wants somebody with 2 decades experience, that's my customer. The challenge that we run into as business owners is a lot of times we forget that not all business is good business. I love pineapple.
Love that.
I love pizza, but I don't like pineapple and pizza combined.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before. It's like sometimes you just have to say, no, you're not the right person for me. Let me show you or introduce you to somebody who might be a better fit
Or
for you.
maybe expand on what you mean by that. Like,
Well, yeah. So here's what's interesting is the 80-20 rule is very real. 80% of your referrals will usually come from about 20% of your customer base.
amazing.
And ironically, they're the people that never push back on price. They're the people that not only will pay you full fee, a lot of times they'll send you Christmas gifts, they'll send you birthday gifts, they will go out of your way. Why? Because you are what they are looking for. Here's the best lesson that the car business ever taught me was how little that I truly matter to the overwhelming majority of the world. But also how much I matter to a small portion, which means if I spend my time serving the masses and I'm having to convince a stranger and slug it out every single day in an industry that is not well liked, respected, or trusted, I'm going to be miserable.
Right.
But if I spend my time over here with people who know me, like me, trust me, send me referrals, and they come in receptive to what I have to say, it's a very different world to live in. And where that decision was made is I self-generate all my own business the last 2 years at the store, but I found a better way to serve them. And the better way to serve them was training them how to market their business, which is why I took the leap a couple of years ago and went full-time with it.
That's amazing. Well, Todd, do you want to transition to that? I would love to hear a little bit more about that transition. You said it's been a few years?
It'll be 2 years, March 31st.
Awesome.
Yeah, talk about that. Like, what was the jump from?
Or what made you want to do that?
Well, I got into the car business by accident in 2011. It's actually really funny. I had one goal in life, and that was to be a big name DJ. So here I am, 21 years old, living at home, rent free, dropped out of college, and had goals of blasting music for a living until my dad said, "You have 1 week to find a full-time job, or you're going to need to find a new place to live." So I figured I grew up playing Gran Turismo, and I had some mall job experience. So why not go into the car business? I had a terrible start. I was almost fired like multiple times within the first few months. Not for lack of effort, but because I literally sucked because nobody onboarded me and said, do this and don't do that. So what actually saved my career is one of the finance managers went to bat for me and said, what are we doing with this Alan Stern guy? We talk all the time in our manager meetings about how we can't find anybody that's willing to weather the storm of commission-only sales. And we have a guy that sucks, but he still keeps showing up. Either train him or fire him. Yeah. So we agreed we were going to give it one more month. And I made a decision that changed my life. And that was I got really good at one thing. And that one thing was I had one car that I really loved, and that was the Corvette. So I learned everything about it. Ironically, I couldn't sell a $20,000 Chevy Cruze, but somehow I could sell a $90,000 Corvette. So now they couldn't get rid of me because I was the Corvette specialist. Fast forward a little bit, the Chevy Volt comes out, which is, an electric car. Nobody else really knew it. So I figured, why not be the guy that knows it? Now you actually can't get rid of me because I added tremendous value because I specialize in one thing. Fast forward a little bit, failed myself forward, started investing in mentors, the opportunity to join the top Lexus dealership in the state, and took the leap in 2017. And then I realized I knew sales, but I didn't know marketing. You could be good at sales. It does you no good unless you know how to market and create opportunities to sell. Realized a little bit later, loved the product, struggled with the customers. So I started generating all of my own business, started going to networking events. And then I realized we have a beautiful dealership. So why go to these events if I can just host them at the dealership? Started hosting 100-person networking events at the dealership, made a bunch of noise. And then I realized that what actually charged my batteries more than any car that I could sell was helping a small business owner win the day. So started doing speaking engagements by accident, originally using it as a networking tool, literally saying, here's a topic that would benefit all of you, how to market your business without spending any money. I learned this as a result of selling cars. By the way, call me if you need a new car. Yeah. And now the whole thing is a commercial, and then started a business out of accident and was able to take the leap about 2 years ago.
That's so awesome.
And I would like you to give the plug of how you actually helped me how we connected. I was struggling with, I had a following on LinkedIn, and how do I take the following and actually start to sell some of my services instead of being all the noise out there. And so I'll let you take the lead on what you told me to do and what the outcome was, but it's amazing.
No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that you want to give me credit for it. The reality is you're the one that did the work. You have a 20,000 person following on LinkedIn, yet you didn't have a newsletter that was set up. You can ask AI for newsletter ideas. And once you set it up, really hear me on this as you're listening to this. If you have a following on LinkedIn, over 1,000, maybe 5,000, even 10,000 or 20,000 like hers, if you make a post, whoever sees it, which means you are at the mercy of whatever mood LinkedIn is in today, and sometimes it's in a lousy mood. All of that goes out the window when you set up a newsletter, because the first time that you set this up and you publish an edition, every single person you're connected to, you heard that correctly, every single person, all 20,000 people in this case, got a notification that said, Christina Olson started a newsletter. Would you like to subscribe? Expect from a metric standpoint, 20% within 60 days will. And at that point, you now have how many subscribers within 2 weeks?
2,050.
Every time she comes out with a new edition of her newsletter, over 2,000 people get a notification on the platform, plus an email, and it is free. Biggest thing, though, is it's a positioning tool, because everybody posts, only thought leaders publish. You have a newsletter, now have a publication.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
Love it.
I mean, that was such a massive win.
It was.
Yeah.
It's an easy one, too.
It was so exciting.
It's oddly simple.
Yes.
I said,
Also,
hey.
she did the work. I mean, you've been on LinkedIn for
Yeah, and I'll be a little vulnerable here. So once I was sold my company, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I knew I wanted to continue to help people. I thought recruiting was helping people. No, really, I learned it's not. Now what I do actually helps people get their mind right. And I was doing the posting, but it was all from my heart, and it was all the lessons that I learned, like you talk about. I was there. So I'm talking to myself when I'm posting these things, right? And I didn't go look for help, and I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I'm just going to show up every day and I'm going to post something. And then I had the podcast idea. We put the podcast, so I had more content. But when you told me that's so simple, the reason I didn't do that was, I'll be honest, I actually was like, God, I don't want to be one of those people that show up in everybody's inbox every week.
Sure.
It's so annoying. I delete those things. But now I'm like, wait.
it was a limiting
belief. And some of them, I'm like, I don't delete all of them. If I like the title or it looks interesting, I'll read it. I'll read the newsletter. I go over to LinkedIn and read it. So you helped me overcome a limiting belief, and I'm thankful for that.
I appreciate you. Go.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead. I just think it's a cool way that you're doing it, because most people have an email. You have everyone's emails and you're just blasting the newsletter. You are doing it in a way that you're inviting people to subscribe. and they get to choose that they want to get this newsletter. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, you're asking. Well, yeah, it's like asking for permission. So in that sense, it's like so targeted. And that's kind of like the value that he's saying is like, yes, you know, you're at the whims of like the algorithm every single day, but having an email list at that level is just so valuable.
And showing up every day, right? So like
Sure.
or every week or whatever. And my value proposition, right, is that I can help people lean into their genius, that they can find their worth and self-love underneath it all.
Sure.
And that's what they know they're going to get from me. Just like with you, they know they're going to get, okay, how do I do this? Practical, tactical steps, plus a philosophy and some thought leadership around, you know, how do you sell to people?
See, and here's what's really cool about this too. And it's awesome that you've got this much traction in less than a month. It's actually in 2 weeks. But what's crazy, and I can't seem to think of anything that is comparable to this, but a LinkedIn newsletter where you're getting the ideas from AI. And again, I don't want you to just copy and paste what AI gives you and brand it your own, because sometimes it's wrong. Do not do. I'm responsible to you, not for you.
Yeah.
But the idea is I've never seen something in my life where you can take a concept and maybe even a quote out of a book that you've read and say, turn this into an article. And then you could read it, learn something at the same time and create something. Like what a great opportunity.
Yeah.
What's interesting though, is I always go in with the expectation that most people aren't going to read my articles because they're not. Let's just call it what it is. It's a way that you can just stay top of mind and you show up. But on the other hand, there's people that have never once engaged that I've ran into at a networking event that I've completely forgot that I'm even connected with, that have said, dude, that article that you posted like 3 weeks ago on this topic, I got this, and this out of it. Oh my goodness. I shared that with so many people. And I'm thinking, would it kill you to smash the freaking like button once in a while?
Let me know
Just
you're
so
reading
I
it.
know I'm not playing for an empty room.
Yes, that's
It's hilarious.
amazing.
But all of this kind of falls back, ironically, to the heat method of adding value. You're not selling anything. You're basically saying, here is how you embrace your inner genius, and you throw a call to action on it that says, if this resonated with you and you want to see what the next steps look like, click here. Let's chat. That's it. Now you're turning it into a sales funnel. The thing though is, and this is not my quote, you guys know who Alex Hermosi is?
Yeah.
Of course.
One of the best books that I've ever read is $100 Million Leads. Exceptional book. But people will give you time before they will give you money. Before people will pay you with their money, they pay you with their time by consuming your content to figure out if you can actually help them. And that's what you're doing here. So you're giving away the free stuff, but what's better than free is fast. You can get free tickets to Great America in 6 months, and you know what's going to happen? If there's hundreds of thousands of people there and you have to wait 3 hours for every single, ride, all of a sudden free just became not fun.
Yeah.
So if you can give away the free and say, here's fast, now all of a sudden you're adding value. And what's crazy is this is a core philosophy that I live by, and this is how you literally stay top of mind without spending any money. You introduce something of value to somebody, they associate that value with you. This is an extremely content-rich episode, which I knew it was going to be as soon as we started this. But if you found value out of this and you use anything and somebody that you know says, where did you learn that from? You will likely respond by saying, I listened to this podcast from X, Y, and Z. And that is how I learned it. And now the host of the podcast just got free advertising. So if you introduce lunch specials, documentaries, books, music, beer, cocktails, recipes, all of these things that add value, non-business to your network, you have all of these mental real estate, all of these connection points. You've basically created a spider web of value around somebody before you've asked them for any money. You front-loaded all of your karma to the point where they've said, wow, this person has made me laugh. They know their stuff. They have given so much without asking me anything. Relationship's lopsided at this point, so I might as well give them a shot.
Yes. I love that. It's such a good one.
So when you guys started working together, what was like, because here's what I observed, and I recognize this, and I think we all recognize this. If you're like really obsessed about your craft and do everything you can to dial it in for your customers and clients, is you find the the biggest opportunity, the domino effect? What's the one domino if I topple over will make everything easier or obsolete to even address? Like, is that something that you look at from a client to client basis and just like you're able to pick it up and help them? Because I mean, that is sales, right? You're listening, finding the thing.
For sure. In my case, I don't know if Christina shared this, less than 2 months known each other.
Yeah. Well, and I trust,
Once you know,
it's
you know.
Intuition.
Yeah, it is
And I'm
intuition
like,
for sure.
I liked you. I'm like, I listened to what you had, you built, you were humorous. You built my, like you did.
I dropped some heat.
You dropped the heat.
Look at that. Dropped some heat.
Locked in. There you go. And if you could sell her, holy shit.
Yes, that is your sales right there.
But no, it's interesting, and this really is the difference between somebody introducing you with credentials versus conviction. A client is Amy a client of yours too or no?
No, we met. Amy's awesome.
Okay.
She just loved you, and that's how you and I met. So that worked with her.
Yeah, so Amy is a client of mine, and she's like, hey, I don't know if there's any synergy for you two to do something, but I feel you two should meet. I'm like, great, put us on a text thread. I'll take it from there. So show up, talk for half hour, showed me the LinkedIn. I'm like, let me show you a quick, easy win. I know we don't know each other that well. Just please do this. Just trust me. You'll thank me later. She does it. 2,000 people.
Instant result.
Instant results. What did I get out of it? I clearly got a podcast.
Yeah.
I get to tell you guys.
I'm like, can you come, please?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we're talking after this too. 'Cause I'm like, I got to lock you in here because it's like, yes, we all have opportunity to grow, and we're like that. We're looking not for like the easy pill to make it easy, just like to just make it fluid, make it flow because we know it, we see it, we've been there. Like we've unlocked things. That's our business.
Right.
What we do is because we've unlocked something that just flows.
Right.
And that's what we do for others. But the marketing piece is just, it's a different world.
Well, and what I've observed is people really have a hard time doing what you're telling them to do because they want to come with their credentials. Like we're talking,
Sure.
bring your resume. And then people start glossing over and they're like, I don't know, like you're not solving my problem.
Yeah.
Right. And the reality is nobody gives a shit about your resume. You know who cares about your resume? You do. And as far as credentials, because we're all getting to know each other for like literally I just met you today for the first time in person. What credentials do you guys think that I have?
Doesn't matter.
Right.
If you had to guess.
I know what I would say is
I was asking.
I was going to say, for me, you're educated. You educate yourself on what you need to know, and you can tell. You can speak to it quickly. And so that builds, from my perspective, that builds trust. You're not like, oh, I just built this landing page and, I've been a marketer for 40 years. Well, but I don't really know how I did it. You come to me and you're like, this is what you need to do. I know this works. I've seen it. It worked for me and it'll work for you. Yeah.
From an go on.
I was just gonna say like the I think like the willingness to give is also just like a
Magnetic.
It's magnetic in the sense of like, I know this works, try it. And one way or another, it's going to come back to you. Not for like, you're not doing it to get something back. You just know that it's a synergy thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give this to you, whatever which way it's going to come back. The law of giving is a true effect and always there. And you can
feel it too.
The abundance mindset of like, I'm not going to hold anything back. We were talking before the podcast about what to share and what not to share. And it was like, you knew right away when he was just like, I'm just going to give it all away. I feel the same way about myself. Like there's nothing to hold back here. There are no secrets, but you're paying for fast. That's
For sure.
That's the key.
If you want to drop in a little strategery, the actual way to do it, and this isn't mine, I got it from a book called Wealthy and Well Known, also one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. You give away everything, but in the wrong order. So people say, whoa, I can only imagine if they gave away this much for free, how life-changing the information is if I just open up my wallet. And the crazy thing is a lot of times it's the exact same information. Russell Brunson talks about it in his books all the time. Donald Miller, Story Brand. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite books. It gives away so much juice and substance that's in there. But what people actually pay for is the customization.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll give an example of this. So in my second article, I put in an actual self-hypnosis to do. And I was like, should I put that in? I'm giving away like my secret sauce. But then I'm like, no, I'm giving this to them. They can fix themselves. You can fix yourself. Go check it out. It will definitely help with memories and past emotions. Or if you want it customized, come to me. We'll work through each individual issue and I can customize it for you.
For sure.
That's going from DIY to like done for you.
Yeah.
So that's like the transformation.
But it does take a thought process of front loading that. I'm going to steal that from you, the front loading the karma.
That's great.
You need to front load the karma. Yep.
And I think it's just a good example of your example even is being of service. So you're sharing information, you get all these followers, and then because you're sharing all this information that people can benefit from, they eventually then decide to pay you. So you learn from like him how to monetize that. Like you have so many followers and you can learn how to monetize in a strategic way that they will then say yes because you have so many followers already.
Exactly.
So it's just giving, and then you can get to that point, right?
Yeah, and what I've found, to oversimplify this, there's two facets. There's positioning over here and there's connection. You have to have both. If you don't have both, it's going to be an uphill battle. Let's say that you are positioned as somebody who actually can help solve somebody's problem, but there's zero connection. You're in the transactional zone.
Yeah.
Your retention is going to be lower. Your referrals aren't really going to come in. And be real direct with you, you're in danger because of AI, because everything's being disrupted. Now, on the other hand, if you are all connection, but you're no positioning, you're in the friend zone. You're that person that everybody likes that nobody does business with.
Yeah, I love
And we've all met that person at networking events where you're like, oh, there's such a nice person. I want to help them, but it's going to backfire. And
Yeah.
you're in the friend zone. But if you have positioning and connection at the same time, people say this person's cool, but they get it. And we don't want more information. We want somebody who gets it. And a use case there is anytime that you have a support related issue, what do? You call an 800 number, you got to press 1 for English, and then you have to go through a whole series of other menus. Meanwhile, you're saying, what flipping button do I have to press to talk to somebody who gets it?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Operator.
Yes.
So we've all done that.
Wasted 4 hours of your life.
Right, exactly. So it's crazy, but the name of the game is winning trust.
I love it.
And that's what everything is revolving around.
It's also even to translate, that's just, you could zoom out in every single industry and obviously how relevant that is. That's like our first step with any of my hypnosis clients is like, if I can't get to a place in that first session where we're really connecting and they feel safe to let the guard down and just be whoever they are, the session is going to reflect that. And sometimes it takes a few to like really get in the zone. Again, we're working in like heavier emotional things most of the time, but everything is rapport. I would say it's like immediate to me.
Everything is, because if you're relatable, and that's one of the reasons why I asked, and feel free, whoever chimed in last time, what credentials do you guys actually think I have to teach marketing? Academically, I mean, free flow, whatever your answer is.
If you survived that long with car sales, I'm like, you could do a master class. That's all that I
would
need
say
to know.
no formal education.
Okay, I took the ACT twice, and I scored a 16. Academically, I am not a smart person. And I took it twice, and I studied. Forget a 4.0. I've never had a 3.0 in my life. I have severe ADHD. But what I've been able to do is take everything that I like that is fun and turn it into a business.
I love that.
So I can hyper focus in. Me and my addictive personality can hyper focus in on something that is stimulating and interesting.
You're
Good company, man. This is exactly us.
It's great.
I was just going to say they call ADHD always dialed into
Oh, that's great.
other dimensions,
It's fantastic. I love it.
higher dimensions.
Yes, that's amazing.
And there's things that we do. Do we all have ADHD here, or is that?
You know, you're normal.
It's the three of us.
Yeah.
But I've been around a lot.
So have you read Faster Than Normal, Peter Shankman? That's a great book. It's all on supercharging the ADHD brain. Faster Than Normal. It's interesting because nobody's greater than their environment. And what I find is I have to be in the right environment to get work done, which means if I have to drive a half hour to a coffee shop to be in the right state because I'm around the right demographic, the right music, the right earth tones, everything, so be it. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to put myself in that environment because I'm more productive.
That's so funny. I make her come over to my house so I can do work and I don't even talk to her.
It's funny.
It's an ADHD hack, and we like crush through tasks.
It's funny how that
amazing. I'm like,
works.
like,
So this guy, and by the way, definitely read the book. It's funny because it just further proves the point. This guy, Peter Shankman, who's the author of that book, found that he gets the most writing done when he's actually on an airplane on a long trip.
I totally.
So what did he do? He needed to get a chapter done in his book. He decided to book a one-way ticket to Tokyo
Oh no!
to knock that out.
Nice.
And then you know what he did? He stayed on the plane and went straight back, and the book was done. Cost him $7,000,
Wow.
but he got it done. It's hilarious.
That's amazing.
This is what shapes the behavior.
It totally is. And the other thing is on the stimulation standpoint, it's funny. When I worked in Woodfield Mall, I used to eat at Jimmy John's all the time in my lunch break. And there was a sign that some of you may have seen that said, "Be nice to nerds. Chances are you'll end up working for one." Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
All right. So
I saw that the other day.
So what's interesting, and I'm not talking about like nerds in the type of the derogatory like dork term. What does it mean to nerd out on something? You exhaust a disproportionate amount of time. You develop specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge creates a skill that solves a problem in the marketplace. We exchange money to solve problems. You nerd out over something that's stimulating and fun. You can turn it into a business, and 12 hours go by and you don't feel like you worked.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
Yes.
Yeah, the ADHD is almost actually a symptom of like all the non-important shit that I don't care about and don't want to focus on. Where it's like I'm trying to focus on this particular thing that has all my attention, and then somebody or something comes in to distract me from it, and then it pulls away a disproportionate amount of energy that I just go all fucking in on something.
Yep.
And that environment thing is so on point.
So take a look at the contrast here on the environment. Let's do two scenarios. One where it's a superpower and one which is the most common one, and not trying to completely shift the conversation, but the dots will connect on this. Let's take a kid that has a terrible diet. He just ate candy for breakfast, Smuckers, PB&J, Lunchables, all kinds of shit. And you sit him down in a boring environment and you say, pay attention. Now all of a sudden we think something's wrong with him. But on the other hand, if you're a DJ and you have ADHD and it is your job to create a dance floor, which requires that you keep things interesting and you have to switch the music every 90 seconds, all of a sudden that's a superpower.
Yeah.
Same thing doing a keynote speech. If I have to hold somebody's attention for a workshop for that long, I have to drop some heat. Got to drop in a dad joke every once in a while. I got to keep it interesting. And now all of a sudden that became a superpower.
So awesome. And it's really so sad that that's not harnessed more commonly, because I think people view ADHD or any of these other things like that as like this almost disability. Whereas like I've personally believed it's a superpower for such a long time, but I hope we can continue to talk about that a lot more.
Yeah, I have a friend who helps founders, and she does a whole bunch of different coaching. And she told me the other day, her name's Monica, that 90% of the founders have some type of, our founders like in entrepreneurial situations have some type of neurodivergent characteristics. A lot of them are ADHD, like slightly autistic, something's going on, and dyslexic, because your mind has to find a different way to engage people, because you don't remember all the stats and sit well. So it's real interesting that
I bought into the fact that it was a disability at a young age. Adderall, Ritalin, Dexedrine, all that was crammed down my throat at a young age. It gave me really bad side effects. I don't know if you know anybody with tics. I had them really bad with the twitches and everything else. I legitimately thought something was wrong with me. Pair that with the fact that I was never good at sports. I was never really good at anything until I got in sales. I had a very damaged self-identity at a kid. And that's why a lot of people see me speak on stage. They see me, with my video content. And they say, dude, this just comes naturally to you. Abso-fucking-lutely not. It does not. I sucked so bad at so many different things. I sucked as a DJ in my early years because I was too timid to give announcements at weddings for bridesmaids and groomsmen. But one of the biggest marketing mistakes I made, and if you happen to be a creative and you're listening to this, I'm talking to you because this was me. Creatives are a different part of the brain. What we do is we spend our time in the lab getting good at a skill so we don't have to talk to anybody. And you know what we do? We convince ourselves this bullshit lie that we're going to be the best kept secret and somebody someday is going to discover me. I did that as a DJ. I said, forget going out and schmoozing with promoters. I'm going to spend my time learning how to scratch, getting really good at DJing. So when somebody hears me, they're going to say, holy shit, I got to book this guy. Nobody ever heard me because I never learned how to market myself. Marketers and salespeople have a huge disconnect. Even though they focus in on what do I say, salesperson says, what do I say to close? Marketer says, what do I say to attract? You have to have some sort of match because even though you can have two audiences that are hungry, one could be a vegan and you can own a steakhouse. And if you are trying to sell steak to a vegan, just not a good match, no matter how good your advertising is. So I found a need in the market to bridge that gap between salespeople, marketers, and creatives, and that's made possible by AI.
That's so amazing.
Powerful.
Any other questions?
Honestly,
How do we, yeah, go ahead.
No, we need to reach you. Well,
Yeah, it's like, how do people get a hold of you?
definitely going to know all about you in the show notes. You guys don't have to get pens out or anything if you're listening to this. So we'll put all that information there. But is there a short place they can go?
Yeah. So all the social media handles, just go to connectwithalanstern.com. ALANSTERN is how you spell it. Also, a couple free goodies I'll give away for you. If you want my ebook, go to getalansbook.com. Literally, I have nothing to sell you. If you're interested, it's a deeper dive on the heat method. And if you want to see a full workshop of me doing it live, go to dropsomeheat.com, fill out the form, let me know where to send it.
Awesome. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you being here and sharing everything with our audience and us. So thank you. And listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. We love you guys.